I was having lunch with my mother-in-law while my husband was away on his business trip when I received a call from him.
Something serious has happened. Actually, my mom collapsed.
What? I looked up. My mother-in-law, who was in front of me, also widened her eyes.
So, you know the route back from my business trip passes by my parents' house, right? I'm going to go straight to my parents' house to take care of my mom.
I looked at my mother-in-law again. She placed a finger on her lips. It meant for me to keep silent about our lunch. Understanding her intention, I decided to align my story with what my husband told me. Is your mom okay? Should I come too?
It's okay. I'll share something with you since we're on the topic, but my mom isn't too fond of you, calling you a disobedient daughter-in-law. So, you don't have to come.
Okay, I get it. And so my husband's call ended. By this point, I had already realized my husband is clearly lying. The reason must be something he couldn't tell me. As I clenched my fists and trembled, my mother-in-law told me, "Well, what should we do from here? My name is Megan Miller, and I'm 30 years old. I'm a part-time housewife in the second year of marriage. My job is freelance writing from home. I'm what you might call a writer. I specialize in writing travel-related articles, drawing on my experience working at a travel agency during my single days. I met my husband, Ryan Miller, through a college friend named Kirk. Kirk introduced us, and later he also introduced me to one of Ryan's colleagues. Ryan worked in a typical position at a small to medium-sized company, and other than his somewhat handsome appearance, he was a rather ordinary person. We dated without any issues for about 2 years. And then I was proposed to on my birthday, and I joyfully accepted. We visited my parents to give our greetings and seek their permission for the marriage. The next step was going to Ryan's parents' house. His parents had already divorced, and his father had moved overseas, so only his mother remained at their family home. I had heard that Ryan's mother was a self-made businesswoman who had started her own company, so I was initially excited and nervous about meeting her. "Nice to meet you. I'm Megan, and I've been working with Ryan." Upon my introduction, my mother-in-law exclaimed, "I've been looking forward to meeting you. Please come in, come in." She had a youthful and straightforward aura with her short haircut. I nervously took a seat next to Ryan.
"Mom, I'm thinking of marrying her."
"Well, if it's a decision you two made together, I won't oppose it. Congratulations." With a smiling face, my mother-in-law conveyed this, and I felt relieved. During the subsequent conversation, the topic shifted to my job. "Megan, what kind of work do you do?" "I'm a freelance writer. Most of the time, I'm at home, working on my computer." When I responded, my mother-in-law's face quickly clouded over. "A writer working from home? Is that job stable?" "Huh?"
"I mean, it seems more like a pastime. Your income must be unstable."
"It's not like that. I consider it a respectable job." However, my mother-in-law maintained her difficult expression.
"But still, having a stable job like a regular employee would be better."
"I find fulfillment in my current job." At that point, Ryan intervened.
"Well, how about we leave it at that for now?"
The tension eased momentarily, but my mother-in-law kept her brows furrowed. While my mother-in-law didn't oppose our marriage, she didn't show understanding toward my job. Nevertheless, our new home and my in-laws' place were about 2 hours apart. I thought we would have minimal interaction with my mother-in-law in our daily lives. So, we went ahead and got married. The wedding went well. Even Kirk, who played a crucial role in our meeting, gave a speech and praised us. And so, life with Ryan began. In the first year of marriage, he also helped with household chores, and I think it was a happy, newlywed life. However, around the second year of marriage, Ryan started claiming that work was getting busier, and he began coming home late. Nevertheless, without any suspicion, I supported him during his busy times. While I occasionally encounter my mother-in-law, she consistently advised,
"Get a stable job as a regular employee, or get some qualifications."
Feeling tired of my mother-in-law's repeated comments, one day I confided in Ryan. "Ryan, I'm not fond of your mother. She is critical of my work and—"
"Well, my mom is quite old-fashioned. You don't have to force yourself to get along."
If you say that, it's a relief. He never tried to force a friendship between me and my mother-in-law or make me comply with her demands. That was something I appreciated. Then one day, while working at home, my phone rang. The caller was my mother-in-law, whom I hadn't spoken to in a while. For a moment, I hesitated to answer, but I couldn't ignore it, so I picked up the phone. "Hello, Mom. What can I do for you?"
"Megan, I wanted to talk to you about your work today."
"Mom, please stop.
It's not that. I want to apologize to you."
"Huh?" Upon listening, it turned out that my mother-in-law had come across an article I had written in a travel magazine by chance. She found out that I was a well-known writer contributing to several magazines.
"I read your articles, and they were wonderful pieces of writing."
"Oh, thank you."
"I'm sorry. Maybe I've looked down on the job of being a writer until now, but I realized how capable you are and felt ashamed of myself. I truly apologize."
"Mom." I was surprised by my mother-in-law's apology, but I was also pleased. Except for the fact that she opposed my work, I had no ill feelings about my mother-in-law's character. In fact, I even respected her. The barriers between us seemed to melt away, and I felt happy about it.
"So, it's not exactly an apology, but I'll be heading your way soon. How about letting me treat you to lunch?"
"Huh? Lunch?"
If you don't want to, feel free to decline. But I'd also like to hear more about your work."
"No, Mom. I'd be delighted. Please, let me join you." And so 3 days later, my mother-in-law and I arranged to have lunch at a restaurant in my town. I wanted to share this with Ryan, but he was still busy with work and had to leave for a business trip the next morning. I wonder how Ryan would react if he knew I was having a friendly lunch with his mother while he's away on a business trip. I'm sure he'd be happy. During that time, I was casually thinking about things like that. On the day of the lunch with my mother-in-law, I dressed up since we were meeting at a high-end restaurant.
"Megan, over here."
My mother-in-law waved and apologized to me again with a smile.
"I'm sorry for saying various things about your work."
"It's okay, Mom. Let's enjoy today together."
"I'm glad you say that. Eat anything you like."
As expected of a female president, let's indulge in something I don't usually eat.
"Well, Megan, you're such a fun person."
My mother-in-law and I exchanged smiles and headed to the restaurant. While having lunch and talking with my mother-in-law, I began to see her positive qualities that I hadn't noticed before. I developed a sense of respect for my strong yet kind mother-in-law. After my mother-in-law shared her divorce story, she said, "When I got divorced, having a job saved me. I realized the importance of money and work. The experience taught me how crucial it is for women to work." "Mom, is that why you recommended a regular job to me?"
"Yes, I didn't want you to struggle even if something happened. But Megan, you're doing a splendid job."
"I'm glad you understand. I'll work hard to become like you, Mom." In the next moment, my phone rang. It was Ryan. "Oh, it's Ryan. I wonder what's going on." "Ryan, you're on a business trip, right?" "Yes, I'll put it on speaker so that you can hear Mom too." I put the phone on speaker and placed it on the table as I answered the call. Then Ryan's voice could be heard.
Megan? Hey, something serious happened.
Aren't you on a business trip right now?
Well, the trip went fine, but something difficult occurred. Actually, my mom collapsed.
What? I looked up. My mother-in-law in front of me also widened her eyes.
So, my return route from the business trip passes by my parents' house, you know? I plan to go home directly to take care of my mom.
I looked at my mother-in-law again. She put her index finger to her lips. She seemed to be indicating to keep quiet about our relationship. Understanding her intention, I decided to align my story with Ryan's. Is your mom okay? Should I come too?
No, it's fine. You don't get along with my mom, right?
But...
It's okay. I'll share something with you since we're on the topic, but my mom isn't too fond of you, calling you a disobedient daughter-in-law. So, no need to come.
I understand.
Alright, I'll hang up now.
Ryan's call ended like this. By that time, I had already realized. He was clearly lying. The reason must be something he couldn't tell me. Could it be an affair? Tightening my fist, trembling, I was about to speak when my mother-in-law interrupted.
So, Megan, what should we do now?
Mom, this is probably what I think it is, isn't it?
Unfortunately, seems like you're not wrong. There's likely another woman. But don't worry, Megan, I'm on your side.
Empowered by my mother-in-law's strong words, I was ready to uncover the truth. Afterward, my mother-in-law and I devised a plan.
First, I think it's a good idea to check with the company.
Upon my mother-in-law's suggestion, I remembered Kirk, a mutual friend who works at Ryan's company. When I messaged Kirk that I wanted to talk, he replied,
I can meet you after work today.
So my mother-in-law and I went to the designated pub together. Kirk was surprised that my mother-in-law was with me, but when we told him everything, he finally opened up.
This is what I found out after checking with Ryan's department. He didn't mention a business trip. Instead, he's taken paid leave.
So, he was lying after all.
This is something I've been hesitating to tell you, Megan.
Kirk looked back and forth at my mother-in-law and me. When my mother-in-law urged him to speak, Kirk seemed to have made up his mind.
Actually, it seems Ryan's subordinate, Michelle, is quite close to him. She also took paid leave at the same time, this time.
His subordinate?
Oh, and there are pictures like this circulating around the company.
Kirk showed me his smartphone. The photo displayed Ryan and a young woman walking in the hotel district. Thank you. May I have a copy of this photo?
Of course. I'm sorry, Megan. I've been feeling responsible since I introduced him. That's why I couldn't bring myself to say it until now.
Kirk, you're not to blame. By the way, do you know the address of that woman Ryan is involved with?
I'm not sure, but there was a female colleague she was close to. I'll ask her for the address.
At that moment, Kirk contacted his colleague, who informed us that the woman, Michelle, lived in an apartment near the next station. Thank you, Kirk. You've been a great help. After Kirk and I parted ways, my mother-in-law apologized deeply to me.
Megan, I'm truly sorry on behalf of my son.
It's okay, Mom. It's not your fault. I'll confront him with this evidence. I'll make him take responsibility and the other woman too.
Wait, Megan. With just this photo, he might deny anything beyond walking together. We need more solid evidence. Leave it to me.
Saying that, my mother-in-law made a call to a nearby detective agency. Surprisingly, my mother-in-law was willing to spend money to obtain decisive evidence. The detective agency she contacted was well known for conducting thorough investigations.
Megan, please ask him when he will be back.
Sure. Let me send a message. Oh, I got a reply. I'll be back the day after tomorrow. Upon hearing this, my mother-in-law nodded at me. 2 days later, when I was at home, Ryan returned.
I'm home.
Welcome back. How is Mom doing?
Oh, she has calmed down quite a bit. It seems I'll need to come back home more often from now on.
It must be tough.
She feels reassured when I'm around.
Just as Ryan mentioned that, the door of the adjacent room slammed open.
Who feels reassured with you around? Huh? Mom?
Ryan was so surprised that his legs almost gave away. Approaching with my mother-in-law, the two of us leaned in together.
Wait, what's going on? Why is Mom here? You were supposed to be on bad terms.
Too bad, we reconciled.
Megan and I were having lunch when she received a call saying I had collapsed, so I was surprised. That's...
As Ryan's face turned pale, I told him, "What have you been doing for the past few days?" Ryan, still pale, remained silent. Thinking the truth wouldn't come out easily, I finally said, "The business trip was a lie, and you were on a cheating trip with Michelle, right?"
What? Michelle who?
I confronted Ryan with a snapshot from Kirk of them walking in the hotel district. Ryan, turning pale, predictably says something like this.
This was just a coincidence. I happened to pass by instead of going to a drinking party. There's nothing between her and me. It's just a regular boss-subordinate relationship.
Oh, really? Then what about this? I confronted him with another photo. In this one, Ryan was clearly leaving Michelle's house and kissing her at the doorstep.
What is this?
After cheating on me by pretending to go on a business trip, you lied to me and spent time at your fair partner's house, right? These photos were obtained by my mother hiring a detective agency.
What? My mom did this?
Seeing the unbelieving expression on Ryan's face, my mother-in-law suddenly slapped him.
You idiot son. Doing something like this while having such a good wife? Have you forgotten the reason for my divorce from your father? It was because of his affair, right? You're just like him, going for the same disgraceful path. Mom, I once talked to you about inheriting my company, right? I'm canceling that. And not just that, I'm cutting off our relationship. Be prepared for that. This can't be.
Seemingly realizing there was no escape, Ryan slumped beside me.
Megan, this was just a momentary lapse. Please forgive me. I'll be a better husband from now on.
At that moment, I cut him off with a stern voice. Don't be ridiculous. Don't say pleasant things after lying and betraying me. We're getting a divorce. I'll be claiming a generous settlement for the infidelity damages. Unable to say anything more, Ryan, who was now whimpering, was driven out of the house by my mother-in-law. Later on, the divorce between Ryan and me was finalized. My mother-in-law, acting as my attorney, managed to secure a settlement higher than the market average. I also claimed a settlement from the affair partner. The incident led to the final breakup between Ryan and Michelle. Afterward, my mother-in-law generously provided me with a significant amount of money as compensation. My mother-in-law was unforgiving. Ryan's job seemed to be a result of his mother-in-law's connections, and she conveyed to the company's president to fire her son. Due to his involvement with a subordinate and disrupting the workplace atmosphere, Ryan was dismissed from the company. Ryan has saved up enough money to pay my alimony, and his mother-in-law gave up on him. He now lives in a rundown apartment and works day and night as a day laborer. Even knowing that, I have no sympathy whatsoever. I just think, serves him right. I, on the other hand, moved to a new place with the alimony money, and I continue to work as a writer as usual. My relationship with my mother-in-law is such that we address each other by our first names. We occasionally go on trips together, and there still seems to be a lot to learn from her. I will cherish my good relationship with my mother-in-law and continue to live life positively from now on.